I got fired by McKinsey 3 months ago. I had moved countries for this job, signed a 15-month lease, changed my whole life, and 6 months later, I was let go, completely unexpected. I was devastated, but this led me to finally start the business I had dreamed of starting for so many years. Honestly, I almost didn't make this video. I was going back and forth. Do I talk about this? Do I just say I left on my own terms, like some of my ex-colleagues told me to? I mean, I'm trying to build a business, so is it gonna make me look incompetent to say I was fired? But I promised myself that in my business, I would show up fully as myself, something I haven't been able to do at any of my previous jobs. And if I make it this big secret that I got fired, I give it too much power. That's like saying that getting fired says something negative about me when I don't believe that's true. And getting fired is one of the best things that ever happened to me, so why would I hide that? That's why I want to share the story of how I got fired and how that led me to start my own business as an operations consultant, which, spoiler, is nothing like the business I was expecting to start. I guess this is a good time to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Anna Reich, and I'm from Germany, if you couldn't tell by my accent. I'm a mechanical engineer by training, and I started my career with building factories. I was an engineer at Northvolt, this Swedish battery startup, helping plan and build Sweden's first gigafactory. If you're curious about that, I documented the whole journey on another YouTube channel, which you can find if you just search for my name. The reason I went into engineering is that I loved the challenge of it. I wanted to honestly use my brain to its full potential and to just make an impact. But I've also been interested in entrepreneurship since university, where I worked at a startup and read every business book I could get my hands on, and even ended up getting a second master's degree in entrepreneurship and innovation management. Really, I've been obsessed with this topic for the past 6-7 years. And I always thought that I would start a disruptive, high-growth startup. That's the kind of companies I've worked at. And I've always enjoyed the responsibility and independence you get in that environment. And the people who tend to work there, often highly motivated, passionate people who get stuff done and are amazing to work with. That's definitely what it was like at Northvolt. We were these young 20-somethings planning huge factory buildings, moving fast, spending tons of money, and making tons of mistakes, a lot more than I realized at the time. After 3.5 years at the battery startup, I was ready for a new challenge. I asked myself, what's going to help me get closer to my startup dream? Consulting felt like the right step to grow my skill set and get that stamp of approval so that in the future, once I'm building my own startup and pitching to investors, they will give me all their money because I'm associated with this big name. And I decided to join McKinsey, and specifically their operations practice, because I knew some people working there already who all had engineering backgrounds. And they were doing what sounded like really cool work, visiting factories and helping them improve their production processes. And I did love that part of the work. My first project was with a senior colleague who had 25 years of experience in the field. He introduced me to lean thinking, a philosophy developed by Toyota in the 50s for manufacturing. And it changed everything for me. If you're now thinking of Eric Ries's book, The Lean Startup, that's not the same, which I could talk about the differences for hours, but let's save that for a future video. What amazed me about the lean methodology is how we could walk into any random factory, observe the production process, ask a few questions, and then pinpoint changes they could make to achieve more with less. Needing fewer people, speeding up production, reducing inventory, and increasing quality. Lean could transform a factory almost overnight. And I thought, gosh, if only I had known about this back when I was at Northvolt. It would have changed everything about how I approach planning production lines and warehouses. So I went down a rabbit hole of learning everything I could about lean operations. As I dug deeper, I realized this has the power to transform any business, not just massive manufacturing plants. Operations can mean the difference between struggling 24/7 or having a sustainable, fulfilling business. A great operation strategy can allow small companies to work at the same high level as large corporations, but with way fewer resources. It's the reason some solopreneurs can thrive, or even software companies like Gumroad or 37 Signals can run multi-million-dollar businesses with tiny teams. The more I learned, the more fascinated I became by these kinds of businesses. Not the typical high-growth startup with VC funding and rapid scaling, but companies that are profitable from the start and grow at a sustainable pace. I started thinking, what if instead of starting a startup, I used my skills to help businesses operate more smoothly and become more like these lean, powerful businesses? So I decided to make that my new mission. Of course, I figured I'd need a couple more years at McKinsey to gain enough experience to actually do this. But then, well, cue me getting fired. Almost 6 months into my consulting role, I got this sudden meeting invite from HR on a Friday afternoon. I knew immediately what it meant, and it shattered every plan I had. For about a week, I was devastated. I tried to find a way to stay at that job or replace it with a similar one. But then I thought, what if I just do the thing I really want to do? What if I just start my business now? I don't have to pretend to be this perfect expert. I can just learn and grow along the way. I know, mind-blowing insight. So I decided to lean into that. Pun intended. That's where my channel name, Your Operations Bestie, comes from. I want to be the person you turn to when you need straightforward, honest advice. I'm not showing up as some corporate consultant in a suit with a PowerPoint. No shade. I'm showing up as someone who cares about making your business work for you, not the other way around. And wow, since making this decision, I'm honestly the happiest and most driven I've ever been. The more I research and talk to other operations enthusiasts who are coming out of the woodworks for some reason, like seriously, I'm meeting them everywhere now. And the more I talk to potential clients and come up with content ideas for this channel, the more excited I get. I've never felt more alive. This channel is where I will share everything I know and continue to learn about business operations from a manufacturing perspective, but also across industries. I'll even do my own challenges and experiments, and I'd love for you to be a part of this journey. So drop a comment, let me know what you're dealing with and what topics interest you. You rock for sticking around till the end, and see you next time.